So once we have created, we pasted a new layer. Again, for those who didn't watch, you can go ahead and do Command J and put it in a new layer. Okay, so let me do that again. And go ahead and name the layer Girl Alone. So just hit Command J to paste it. Okay. Now you notice if you just go zoom out, you will see that even if I do graffiti, the girl is still visible. What we're gonna do for the next part is adding a layer mask, and you're gonna be adding the layer mask on the graffiti layer. So go ahead, select your graffiti layer. Now look at your default black and white selection. Make sure your colors are the default. You can do black or white. Doesn't matter. We're gonna inverse it anyway. Okay. Now make sure your graffiti layer is selected. Now on the bottom of your screen, you have a layer mask. It's right there, right by FX, on your layers palette. So you want to add layer mask. So right now nothing happened, and I want you to see this. Why nothing happened? What happened with our selection? We didn't have any more selection. Okay, so remember I told you before, we have saved that permanent selection, we can use it. So actually undo, so if you follow me, undo. And this is the reason why I'm showing you this. You can actually load your selection to a different layer. With that, you can go back to your path, then go click on, select the path, because you need to select it. Then click on make selection, so choose make selection. This option will not be visible unless you click on the path. So make it. Again, radius will be 1. Okay. Now you can go ahead, go to your layers. Now if you think you need to refine it more, you can. Now, with that one selected, you can go ahead and navigate. Again, you choose black and white. Click on layer mask. And you notice right now what it did? It actually put it backwards than we want it. So, and I will explain this in a minute. But what the layer mask did, it masks everything behind the girl but not the girl. So before clicking on anything, do Command I, inverse. So it's gonna do this for you. Okay, Command I. So what is a layer mask? Layer mask is a non-destructive way of deleting part of your image. Because you're really not deleting an image, removing parts of the image without permanently removing them. So you still have other selections. So this is non-destructive way of working. And I'm going to use the terminology non-destructive a lot. And really what happens when you're working with non-destructive ways, one thing that's still there, you can always delete the layer mask if you don't want to use it. Just keep in mind, if you are on a layer mask or on the image itself, it's going to act differently for you. Another thing it can do for you, it will increase your size of your file. So when working on destructively, it's a good idea when you're working with it, but when you finish and you're happy how it looks like, you want to apply that change to the image, but only as a final step. So why don't you watch me? You do not have to do this. I just want you to see. So you might think, how do I apply this to the image so it doesn't increase my file size? So you will actually click on the delete icon, okay? Now here it tells you two things. You can either delete it or apply it. And by applying it, it becomes a permanent change. Okay? We are not going to apply it. I just want to show you that option exists. Right. So that's, are you going to do more? Okay. Now, we are not done with the girl yet. We're going to do a few things to her. I just want to make sure she's visible when we do. So go ahead, click on Girl Alone again. Layers can be very useful because you can actually do a lot of non-destructive techniques with it. So one thing you can do to the girl, we can adjust her coloring too. And if you've noticed, last time we actually went into image adjustments and then we pulled up one of those options. Well, this is actually working in a destructive way where it's permanent. But with the image adjustments and your layers, it becomes non-destructive. So you have almost the same options right on the bottom of your palette. So make sure Girl Alone is selected. Then navigate to the bottom of your layers, and you can see that black and white kind of color. It says create new fill adjustment layer. Click on that. If you were to compare this one with the permanent adjustment layers, you will notice that a lot of them are here and there, but not everything. Some things have to be permanent and will not appear on this option. FYI. So with that, we're gonna select Vibrance. So what Vibrance does, you have it on your phone if you've never used it anywhere. You can add more liveliness or less to the girl. We actually will drop her vibrance a little bit, okay? So very small change. Now, do you notice anything funny happening with the image? No, it's good, right? It's changing. So we're gonna do around 10. I would say that's good. We just dropped a little bit of vibrance, just too vibrant. Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind: when I'm adding my adjustment layer, it will affect all the layers underneath it. But I only want the girl one alone to be affected, not everything below it. This is important to know, because when you're working with adjustment layers and you notice some things show through and they're adjusted, you will be a pain in the butt. So anytime you only want one layer to be affected, only the one right below it, you want to check this button here, which says adjustment affects below it. Okay? If you click this, it's just going to apply to this one. Otherwise, it's going to do all of them. And right now, you can even see how it's applicable to other layers. But when we move on to the girl in the rain, you'll see the difference. Okay? So go ahead and, now these properties, one good thing about being non-destructive, you can always edit it. So the same with your layers, layer masks, the same with this. You can always double click and on that icon here on the side and edit your layer if you need to. Now again, working non-destructively will add to the file size. So usually designer is good to work on it first, and then at the end you want to merge the layers down and have them as one. So for your project, if you have more than, I would say, 5 adjustment layers, why don't you merge them with the image? Because I only want to see a few of them. I don't want to see all. I don't want the file size to be 1 gigabyte. Okay. So the way you would merge it is actually selecting the vibrance, and one thing you can do is just merge down. You don't have to do it now because I need to see it. But if at home, you would merge down, and then it's gonna merge it. It becomes permanent, right? Next thing we're gonna do some retouching that we haven't done yet, and with Photoshop. We've done different kind of retouching, and some of you will look familiar, and some will be new. So first thing we're gonna do to her, notice we kind of made her less vibrant, but we can make the lips and the cheeks stand out a little bit more. So what we're gonna go on and do, go ahead and select Girl Alone, and click on, why don't you click on Dodge, you have Burn and Sponge, okay? You have those, Burn and Sponge. Right, click on the last option. Sponge can either do 2 things, saturate or desaturate. On the top, you can see it says saturate, and next to it you have the flow. Flow means how strong you want it to show. Go ahead and lower that flow to 25%. Make it small, right? If it's too strong, it won't look right. Okay, now go ahead and with my brush size being, 45? So around 45 brush size. If you need to adjust the brush on top, 45. You will click on the cheek and kind of add a little bit of blush to her color. So go ahead, click. Now,
saturate or desaturate?
Saturate. You're saturating. One time. Don't do too much. Make sure it's not a big circle when you do it. If it looks like a big circle, your flow needs to be even less. Okay. Very low flow. Now I'll drop my flow to 16, and I go around it, because if you do 1, she's gonna look like a clown. Don't make her look like a clown. Okay, just add a little bit of color to her cheeks. Very low saturation. Very low flow. Next, we're gonna drop this size of our brush to make it fit within the lips. And then we're going to add some color to her lip. Okay? A little bit more saturated in the lips. Now my projector is killing the colors, but make them look like realistic. Okay? I'm going to make them stronger for the projector so you can see it. But I'm going to undo it because if you're watching this video later, you will probably see her lips are really bright. So go ahead and add some color to her lips so you can actually make it seem like she is nice and radiant. Now remember we showed the airbrushing in magazines when you can do more dramatic things? Well, we're going to do something more dramatic today. So go ahead, make sure that layer is still selected. Go to filters and select Liquify. Liquify allows you to manipulate all kinds of things in an image. It's really good for retouching. Now, I want you to look at the different options we have. The warp tool allows you to move things a little bit, left, right, kind of up. Then the next tool is reconstruct tool, which just, if you mess up with my warp tool, if I go like this, there's my new image, I can always go back with reconstruct and go back to a previous state. Now swirl, what does it do? You know, it swirls. Okay, there you go. Next one is, I think they call it pucker tool. I call it suck it up, suck it in tool, because it will suck it in. Like, actually that's the wrong tool. Notice what it's gonna do, like, oh, sucked it in. Right? The next one is blow tool, which I call it enlargement tool. You can have things bigger. Look at her eye. Kind of small radius. Next one is move, but the ones we're gonna look at are really the warp tool first. So go ahead, select the warp tool.
Where's Liquify?
And the filters. Yes. For those I'm recording, somebody asked where's the Liquify, so I just repeat it. Next time they're gonna raise their hand. So let's go ahead and go to, now the brush size, density, and pressure matters. Density is how hard, okay, you may confuse brush, density and pressure. Density means how much out from the, how strongly it goes from the middle out. So notice what happens if I have a strong density, and I'm going to enlarge this right now so you can see. And notice what I did. You see how much of it was selected? Okay, notice I'm 100% density. So it just selects everything within the radius. If I lower my density to 15, you see the difference? A little smaller. So it doesn't pick up everything with that radius, okay? So that matters. I never put it on 100%. Now brush pressure is how strong the selection is. If it's 100%, this is what happens. Okay? So, and then very small, one click, that's what happens. So it does matter. So I'm going to go somewhere, I'm going to see, I'm kind of do undo. We're going to focus on her face a little bit. So I'm going to zoom into her eye. And we're going to do a little lifting on her eye. So I'm going to lower my brush size around 40. My density I'm going to lower as well, around 30. So this is my kind of what I'm looking at, 40s, 30s, and 30s for the pressure as well. And let's see if it's enough. Sometimes I do it and then I have to increase it. That's okay. So we're going to lift a little bit of her eye, just on top here, like eyebrow as well. Just lift it up. Now, for this size, we can change the brush. So make sure you have a smaller size with your left bracket. Okay, we'll lift a little bit of the outside here of the eye. Okay, just a little bit up. Now we're gonna make her smile. This is how you can retouch family photos. Probably have a family member who never smiles. I'm gonna increase the brush size and then lift. Actually, no, that's too big. That might be okay. Right, so I'm looking around being 25 points brush size, kind of small. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna lift the edges. Notice where I'm at, right there. I'm lifting the edges of her mouth. You'll see? So she's smiling now. Drop it down. So this is how you retouch your family with one person who doesn't smile. So just the side of it, okay? Don't go right in the middle there. You want to be on the outside. So now she's smiling, right? We can do more things with it. Right? We're gonna increase her lips. Yeah, she already has nice lips. Well, we're gonna make it Hollywood lips. So go ahead and select the blow tool. Now one thing with the blow tool what matters is the brush rate. If your rate is 100%, look what happens. Okay, don't do it 100% rate. Drop it around 40 because you want it to be slow. Otherwise, one click is gonna be, too fast. My brush size is around 35. My brush density is 50, and my brush rate is 40. Did you hear my settings? Can you see those settings? 35, 50, and 40. And now what we're gonna do is this is what I want you to do. You're gonna click one time in the middle, one upper lip, kind of big fat lip. That might be too big. I kind of want to give her a lot. Okay, I click a few times. I want to make them even. So I click twice. I click once in the middle, twice on top, and twice in the bottom. So now this is things you shouldn't be really doing, but you're doing it anyway. We will change her facial features. All right. Go ahead. Go back to your warp tool. Enlarge the brush. Leave the settings. I'm gonna make it. Let's see. We're gonna just make her jawline a little bit smaller. So I'm looking at 30 brush density, like around 30 brush density and pressure. Okay, the brush size is 90. So what you want to do is kind of make it a little bit smaller face, like she's sucking in. Higher cheekbones, so we can lower the cheekbones up, and bring that together, the chin, like kind of squish it in there. Do you notice how I'm moving it in? So I move everything in. We're going to give her the neck. Right? So that's good. Once you get to a point where it looks good, you're done. We're done with her for now. So click OK.
Can you make her boobs bigger?
No. Not in this one.
Yeah, we can math.
Do OK. We don't have time. Alright, and notice the difference. Would you even know there's a difference if you've seen it? You probably wouldn't even be able to tell unless you've seen the original. You see? And she's smiling too. So that's the power of retouching. Alright. So we have a few things done with her. At this point, I would say let us go ahead and save our document. Okay, well, how we... So go ahead and do File and then Save As. And we are going to actually create a new folder outside of all of those folders. So go ahead on your desktop, create a new folder. And you're going to call it your last name, first name, that's my folder name, Lab 8. Okay, then you create another folder inside it. It's like we'll be doing two folders. Does it let you create two? Okay, then inside it, create a new folder as well, Lab 8A. So I'm going to do the folder. Wrong way. Lab 8. Create. And then inside that, another folder. No, it's a lot of folders. Lab 8A. So create. And then you're going to name this one Lab 8A. There's going to be a TIFF. Make sure your layers are checked. Save. And do LZW compression and do OK. Okay? And we are done with this part.